Good afternoon. Hadi win on yan. Right. അത് നീ റിലീസ് ചെയ്യാം. അത് മൈക്രോളജി ഇവർക്ക് പോലെ. Yeah, right. On the end. Yeah. Okay. Right. So today we have parasitology, human parasitic infections. Not a hard one. This is easy and it's short for. Right. Well, we have gone through bacteria, virus, fungi, right? That area we have already gone through. Then we know in all those cases, some cases are beneficial, right? Taking up hydrogen, and in some cases we have problems. The major problem is when it comes to the health, we have a serious issue. Well, which is why we are talking about in terms of infection and in terms of diseases. We are talking about those pathogens, basically like infectious bites, right? Then we talk about the term parasitology. Well, when it comes to parasitology, so we need to have a clear understanding what exactly parasitology is. So we basically focus on parasites and parasitic relationships. Parasites and parasitic relationships. Parasites can now. Right, parasites of that. What do you mean by parasitic relationships? When it comes to parasitic relationships, there are two main categories. Parasites, right? Parasites can upping Australian, upping Japan. That's what we call parasites, right? When it comes to parasites, parasitic relationships, there are relationships like this. Now, always like, we are surrounded by parasites. Relationships wise, let's say we have parasite type A and parasite type B, C, D, E. Likewise, we have number of parasites around us. There are names also, like let's say A, B, C, D. Right, there are parasites. Now, all those parasites entirely depend on our metabolism. Right? First mechanism we can survive. Let's say we'll talk about two different parasites, right? Two different parasites. Right. Okay. Both of them need the host. Both of them need the host. Then there is a competition between those two parasites. There's a competition between those two parasites. So then what will happen? So the competition that is beneficial for us. There is a competition between parasites for food, right? Food and energy. Both of them depend on us. Then both of them are trying to invade our system. Then both of them basically survive by fighting with each other as well. Which is why, their fight between each other, their competition between each other, it is important, it is good for us because in that case, the harmful situation, the degree of harmfulness is going to be less for us. Let's say we are a country, there are two different countries, those who are working against us. We'll say we are in a war with two different countries. And if those two countries also are enemies with each other, they also fight with each other, then in that case, the effect that we get from both of them is going to be less. Right. Parasites, in the case of parasites, there are competition. There are like competition for food and metabolism. Definitely there is competition. Right. Then this kind of like parasitic relationships, that is one relationship. And the other case is each parasite, right, has a relationship with us, with the host that is there. At the moment we break down that relationship, parasitic relationships, we are in trouble. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් හිතන්න දැන් ඇඩවර්ටයිස්මන්ට්ස් වල යනවා අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම මොකක් හරි සබන් කියලා මම මේ ගැන කතා කරලා තියෙනවා. Right? If we manage to kill the germs completely, still we are going to be in trouble because in that case we are breaking the interaction between two different parasites, two different types of microbes. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ අතර තියෙන අපි ඒක අපි පාවිච්චි කරන මොකක් හරි ස්කින් ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක පිළිගන්නක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, සමන් එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, බොඩි වොෂ් එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඒ කියන ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක against වැඩ කරන්නේ එක මොකක් හරි තියෙන මයික්‍රෝබ් එකකට විරුද්ධව විතරක් නෑ. Right? Then we are properly killing that particular germ, the bacteria, the parasite. Then the other ones, right, they are obviously winning the competition now because the one which is working against that existing parasite is not anymore our product. Whatever the thing that we apply on our skin has completely eliminated that. Right? ඒක නිසා තමයි අහලා ඇති සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි හැමදාම නාන්න හොඳ නැහැ කියලා එකක් අහලා තියෙනවා. හැමදාම නාන්නද? Right? පාසෙ විතර නාන්නෙත් නැති ඒක හරි. Right? සාමාන්‍යයෙන් හැමදාම නානවා කියන එකේ අර එච්චර not very healthy thing because එතකොට අර තියෙන ඔය කියන අර parasitic relationships බිඳ වැටෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඒ වගේ notice කරන process එක ඇති life එකේ. එතකොට අර දැන් ඔය පොන්නේ යන ඒවා අය වගේ ඒවා පොඩ්ඩක් වැඩි වෙන්න බලනවා. එහෙම වුණාම මොකද අර තියෙන parasitic relationships මම ඉන්නේ bullet point first point එකේ තමයි මම ඉන්නේ. Parasitic relationships බිඳ වැටෙන හැම. Right? Right. එහෙමයි. පිරිසිදුලට ඉන්නවා කියන එක අනිවාර්යෙන් කරන්න ඕන දෙයක්. Right? එතකොට දැන් නාන කියන මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ ඒකට අපි යූස් කරන ප්‍රොඩක්ට්ස් වල. Right? අර දැන් රජ කාලේ තිබිච්ච ප්‍රොඩක්ට්ස් දැන් නෑනේ. අර ගස් වලින් හදලා ගන්න එහෙම නෙවෙයි තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් එතකොට ඒ වගේ තියෙන pH value අරගෙන ගත්තා පස්සේ දැන් අපි කඩෙන් ගන්න එකේ තියෙන pH value ඒව ටික සම්පූර්ණයෙන් වෙනස්. ඒවත් එක ගත්තට පස්සේ එහෙම අර parasitic relationship එකට ඒක බලපාන විදියක් තියෙනවා. ඒ parasitic relationship එක බිඳ වැටුණාම ඒක skin එකට බලපාන. කියන්නේ මොඩේ කියන්නේ තාම ඔළුවේ තියෙන එකක් කියන්නේ ඒක. on the skin එක නේද? right. එතකොට ඒක if something is on the skin ඒක කොණ්ඩේද මොකද්ද කියලා දාලා ඒක බලපානවා කියන්නේ. right. එතකොට කොණ්ඩේ යන එකට බලපාන්නේ රැයට නාන එක විතරක් නෙමෙයි. ඔය වගේ factors ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. Right. Well, study of organisms living on or within other organisms that is going to be the host, basically us. Then impact on human health globally. At the moment we break due to some reason, if the parasitic relationships are broken, then there is a huge impact on the human health. That is a point here. Well, so in our syllabus, we will be selecting certain parasitic conditions for us to study, right? So in this case, I have selected 5 parasitic conditions. Then we'll see, then we'll try to have an idea what exactly this is going to be. And this is going in terms of parasitic relationships, right? That is also there. Right. Acanthophobia. This is a sick health situation. Now, this is this is a free living amoeba. Basically, this is found worldwide, hmm? Not limited to certain area. It's globally found. Well, when it comes to these parasites, it's important where, like, for us to know where does it live. The natural habitats: soil, fresh water, air. Soil, fresh water, air. Now, when it comes to a parasite which covers the wide range, soil, fresh water, and air, that is going to be like definitely we have to be careful of, because it is coming from soil, right? And it is coming from fresh water, and it is coming from air, right? In all those cases, that is there. That means, yeah. Then, like, we talked about this parasitic, like, they are the pathogenic level we talked about, in the previous lessons, right? Now here, when it comes to this situation, when it comes to any type of a parasite which is coming from all the three, that's going to be having a huge impact on human health. Not only human, basically humans, like, we are mammals, coming under the category mammals. Then not only humans, but the other mammals also, that is affecting the same way. Like it's like cats and dogs, right? Right. Well, so speaking of in terms of humans, it can cause serious infections, right? Uh, this was for the first time, it was found in 1930s. That means that's long time before. Because it's parasitology, it's not a new subject. It is always developing, but it was discovered. The things were discovered long time before. Remember the previous ones that you talked about, the culture medium, EGA medium, all those things, like, they are not new things. There's a big history, which is why, since it has a big history only, it got developed up to this level. Right. Well, if we talk about the clinical side of that, uh, we talk about three main disease presentations, right? There are three categories, I would say. We'll talk about those three one by one. Whatever the category, these symptoms are going to be, I see, but the symptoms are not going to be definite, in the sense, symptoms are not going to be distinct. It's going to vary by infectious site, because where does it infect? Maybe the skin, maybe the eye, maybe the skull, the skin of the skull, right? The location is going to be different. As an example, think about some particular parasite which is affecting on the skin, just normal skin, right here, okay? And think about hair, I mean, the skull, the skin right here. Then the texture and the nature of the skin here and on the skull, they are different. Then depending on the texture and the skin type available, the thickness of the skin, right? The number of layers of the skin, depending on all those, definitely the symptoms are going to be varied. And okay, so then symptoms are going to develop, increase. Then finally, this comes to the life-threatening level if we do not treat properly. Okay, right. Right. The first one we'll talk about this uh, granulomatous amoebic situation. I short form, like for our reference, we call it GAE. I think you will remember the short form easily, because otherwise, like, it's too long for you to remember, right? Now, this situation, right? It's a rare situation, but rare situation doesn't mean that this is like something that we can ignore or something. Right. Uh, Basically, and serious also, it's going to be a brain infection, right? It's going to be a brain infection. You know that when it comes to a brain infection, that is going to be a big problem. And it's caused by free living amoeba, right? I have given two examples for two different amoebas, right? Now, when it comes to brain infection, brain, of course, like we feel like, okay, brain, right? It's right here. Uh, then it's going to be like brain, then a nervous system, central nervous system, and peripheral nervous system. So this is going to be connected to different areas of the body. So it's going to be a wide area, in the sense, not where the location of the brain is. It is just in the skull, inside the skull. What I'm talking about is, when it comes to brain, it's related to, it is interconnected with a lot of things. Now, here, in this case, uh, this infection is coming, it is affecting, it has a huge impact on the nervous system. Nervous system. So, when it comes to a situation where nervous system is affected, right? When it comes to a situation where nervous system is affected, then symptoms are going to be different types of symptoms. The worst part is, it can lead up to a situation where personality changes. Why? When it comes to personality say changes, actually, when the brain is basically malfunctioning, I would say, damaged, right? In that case, certain hormones will not be produced. As an example, let's say adrenaline, right? Okay, then adrenaline is not produced by the brain, but the signal is going, and the particular hormones, like so, that is being handled by the brain, right? So, in such cases, the biggest part is hormonal imbalance. Again, moody characters, right? Mood renaissance. That is because of hormonal changes. We call it, in medical terms, we call it hormonal imbalance. Time. Entire behavior change. අපි example එකක් විදිහට ගත්තොත් ඉතින් adrenaline hormone එක, right? If the adrenaline hormone, the level of adrenaline in the blood, if it increases, the person becomes bit aggressive. The example that I took was, in case if the adrenaline level is high, right? What is happening? The person becomes aggressive, the personality changes. And think about, adrenaline level goes down, right? In that case, the person becomes lethargic, right? Let's say estrogen level goes up, okay, or else it goes down, oxytocin. Likewise, so entirely the personality changes, right? That is happening. That is because of hormonal imbalance. And another symptom, headache. Headache, that is also like, since it is the brain, right? Yeah, headache. Sometimes you know that headache, like it's difficult. Like whenever you have a normal headache, don't think that okay, you have a brain problem. No, that is always whenever you get a headache, it is not because of brain problem. Okay, it's normal headache, and because of brain problems, in brain infections, also headache is coming. And that headache doesn't go to Panadol or something. That is still there, but it's hard to recognize because a normal headache and it goes up to migraine, maybe, right? If it comes to a situation where this headache continues for a considerable long time, in that case, we can suspect like, okay, something has related to central nervous system has happened, right? Then you have to go for scans, right? Then we can find out. Well, headache and fever. Yeah, fever. That's normal fever, you know. And confusion. Mm, well, confusion. When it comes to confusion, what is that situation? Confusion. Uh, right, confusion කියන අපිට දැන් brain damage නොවි අපිට confusion වෙන වෙලාවල ඕන තරම් තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් හිතන්න දැන් මොකක් හරි situation එකක් right එකපාරට මේ අර හිතා ගන්න බෑ මොකද්ද කරන්න කියලා. දැන් හිතන්න එකපාරට මොකක් හරි දැන් එකපාරට බැහැලා දැන් ස්ලැප් එකකින් එකපාරට වතුර වැටෙන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. right. අපි ටක් ගාලා තේමෙන්න තියෙන ටික අපි ගන්නව ඇක්ෂන් එක මොකද්ද? තේමෙන්න තියෙන ඒවා ටික ටක් ගාලා හැක් කරලා ඊට පස්සේ මොකක් හරි වතුර ඇටෙන ටික මොකක් හරි පාකට් එකක් අරගෙන ලයිට් එකක් කියලා ඒ ටික arrange කරගෙන අපි ගත්ත යුතු actions ටික නේද? හැබැයි දැන් confusion එකපාරට දැන් සමහර වෙලාවට right අපිට එකපාරට හිතා ගන්න බෑ දැන් මොකද්ද කරන්න කියලා. පොඩි processing time එකක් තියෙනවා අර ඒ කියන්නේ input lag එකක් තියෙනවා. මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? මේ ඊළඟ මොකද කරන්නේ? right? ඒක තමයි confusion කියන්නේ. දැන් ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපිට එකපාරම කරගෙන අපිට පොඩි processing time එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේ situation එක. ඒක මේ හැමතිස්සෙම තියෙනවා. right? ඒ කියන්නේ මොකක් හරි පොඩි දෙයක් right එකපාරට නේද දැන් පාරේ ඉන්න බස් හෝල්ඩ් එකට බස් එක යනවා. right බස් එක පේනවා. දැන් මේක බස් එක නගිනවද නැද්ද? අන්න එහෙම ඒක හිතා ගන්න බැරි. ඒක කියන්නේ අර අග්ගාල ජජ් කරගන්න බැරි. ශනිකව තීරණ ගන්න බැරි. අන්න කන්ෆියුෂන්. right. ඒක ඔක දැන් කෙලින්ම හෝමෝනල් ඉම්බැලන්ස් එක තමයි ඒක කොන්ෆිඩන්ස් නැති එක. දැන් ඩිසිෂන් එකක් ගන්න බෑ කියන්නේ. right. confident නැහැ. confident නැහැ. right. right. okay. Then, before going for treatments, obviously we have to go for, like, we have to diagnose the situation. Right. Diagnosing part, when you talk about the diagnosing part, it's about like brain imaging. Right? Brain imaging. Brain, like we have to definitely go for certain special scanning procedures. Brain imaging, then infectious areas of the brain can be like differently seen when it comes to like scan images, right? That is possible. So brain imaging has to be there. Well, and another technique, tissue biopsies. The major one is actually scans and stuff because it's difficult for us to go for when it comes to brain. It's difficult to go for a culture media. Then otherwise, if you are left with no choice, yeah, we have to. When it comes to brain cancers, right? Then we have to analyze physical. But most of the cases, brain is something which is difficult to analyze physically. Then we have to depend on the brain imaging, basically scan graphs, right? Or else spectroscopic data, right? Like this. This diagram which you can see. This is an infected one. This is an infected one. Anyway, we know brain is not something with a very smooth surface. A surface එක අනිවාර්යෙන් මෙහෙම අර රැලි තියෙන space එකක් ඔය තියෙන්නේ. Right? That doesn't change. It is there. But when it comes to an infectious one, you see very clearly how dark spots everywhere. Dark spots everywhere. Then those particular nerves which are related to those areas will not be properly functioning. And brain making signal like ignoring nerve එක දිගියන්න, right? එතකොට මේ signal එක brain එකකින් එතන ඒ part එකකින් generate කරන්නේ නැත්නම්, right? Then there is no signal to pass through. A confusion කියන ඒවාට එන්නේ එහෙමයි. දැන් ඒක අතර input line එකක් තියෙනවා, right? Data processing nerve ඒ අදාළ ඒ කියන part එක not functioning. That is what we call brain damage. ඊට පස්සේ ඕක දැන් untreated අපි දිගටම තිබ්බොත් untreated දිගටම තිබ්බොත් මේක සම්පූර්ණයෙන් brain malfunctioning කියන තත්ත්වයට යනවා. right? ඔය දැන් අලුතෙන් එක එකට අහු වෙන politicians එහෙම අමාත්‍යවරු කියලා කියන එක ටික පොඩ්ඩක් ඇනලයිස් කරලා බලුවොත් ඒනවා ඒක brain කොච්චර damage වෙලාද කියලා මේ කියන එක කතාවේ මුල කියන එක නෙමෙයි මම හරියට කරලා වෙන මොකක්ද කවුද කියන්නේ. right? අන්න ඒක වෙන properly then brain damage වෙලා ඉන්නේ. මොකද දැන් liver පාත් දෙන්නේ නැති කියලා හිතාගෙන කරගෙන. right? right. Okay. That was about brain infection. The next one. Right. This is a severe pain. This is another situation. Right. That is acanthophobia, keratosis. This is the keratosis term that is coming, right? Because this is coming under a severe painful eye protection. Right? Sorry, eye infection. So then, when it comes to eye protection, right, we definitely we have to pay our attention about, right, how do we protect the eyes from the parasites, right? So that's coming under the category eye protection. So then eye infections, when eye fails to be protected against parasites, then eye infection is like eye infection is a situation, right? When it comes to eye infection, it is something that we can physically see, right? Then symptoms are noticeable in that case. Well, speaking of the natural habitats of this parasite, right? This is found in soil, water, and dust, right? And dust. ඒකයි ඇතින් eye infection වලට එද්දී dust එකත් එක්ක ලොකු relationship එකක් තියෙනවා නේද? Right? When the eye is exposed to dust, right? Then there's a high probability for us to get eye infections. That is there. Right. Then eye is infected, no? Symptom signs. We know any eye infection, we can notice what are the symptoms that we are getting. Remember another thing, basically when it comes to this stuff, this sort of an eye infection, the major reason whenever we expose, it's about poor hygiene. It's about poor hygiene. That is a major reason. Right. Symptoms wise, eye pain, eye pain is here, redness, blood vision, right? Light sensitivity. It's just like, and also the feeling of having something in the eye, right? These are the symptoms. Again, හැඩමනට ගිහිල්ලා වගේ අපි දැන් feeling එකක් තියෙන්නේ, right? So that feeling. Well, then when it comes to as a solution for this infectious situation, treatments have to be started as early as possible. The more we delay the treatments, definitely the infection can go further, right? So that is there. So then infection has to be managed. Then we have to like properly find solutions, properly diagnose the situation properly. That has to be there, right? Then in that way, we can reduce the impact on the human life. Right. So these are two situations where we have that situation, right? That infection. Now, here the level of infection is bit less, and here it has infected a lot. Okay. Yeah, tell me. Sorry. This is the same disease that you are talking about, right? Which is coming in this is amoeba related one, right? Right, eye infection. So then we categorize like eye, of course, right? Again, there's a very small margin between skin infections and eye infections, right? Category wise, we know skin, there's a huge difference between skin and eye, but surface wise, okay, skin is a surface which exposes to outside. Eye also is another surface which exposes to outside. Then, when it comes to infectious level, the eye exposes more because eye has something which the skin doesn't have. What is that? Skin is not wet. Right? Skin is not wet. But surface of the eye, right? Okay, that is wet. In that case, the moisture which we don't see from the normal skin can be seen from the surface of the eye, right? Which is why it is easily infected, right? So that infection is happening because of that. That's a reason for the infection, which is why I mentioned that, okay, hygienical issues are there, right? If we manage our hygiene side, then this situation can be controlled. Anyway, now when it comes to now this is the situation after the infection is done. That means the infection is proceeding, right? You see the two eyes are different from each other. That shows us the level of infection, the degree of infection. Then earlier, if we manage to start diagnosing this and treating this, then the situation can be controlled, right? So that is how it is happening. Right. This is another situation. Well, again, it's about a skin issue, rare, but a severe skin infection. right? Skin issues all තරම් දැකලා ඇති නේද? Right? Infect වෙච්ච අවස්ථා, right? Well, in that case, in this, because of this, it can result non-healing skin lesions, right? Right. එහෙම experience තියෙන අවස්ථා තිබිලා ඇති. ඒ කියන්නේ skin එන issues තියෙනවා. ඒක හොඳ වෙන්නම නැහැ. Right? අර සාමාන්‍ය මොකක් හරි තුවාල වුණාට පස්සේ ඒක හොඳ වෙන්න ඕනේ. Right? සමහර අවස්ථා තියෙනවා මේ considerable long time. හරි. මේ දවස් කීපයක් නෙවෙයි සති කීපයක් නෙවෙයි මාස ගණන් හොඳ වෙන්නේ නැති අවස්ථා තියෙනවා මේ skin එකට එනියම. Right? So non-healing. Right? Non-healing. Non-healing means why it comes to a situation where it is not healing. That is because parasitic relationship that we're talking at the beginning. The parasitic relationship, the existing parasitic relationship is favoring the development of the parasite. Right? Parasite is growing. Parasitic relationship is in favor of the growth of parasite. Right. In that case, this sort of a like high level of infection is happening. Right. Medically, we refer that as the disease is having high mortality rate, which is why it has to be treated for a considerable long time. Right? දිගටම පෙහෙත් කර කර ඉන්න ඕනේ. අන්න එතකොට කාලයකට තමයි මේක achieve කරන්න වෙන්නේ. Well, in such case, like not like brain, when it comes to skin, it is easy for us to go for a biopsy test. That is possible. Right? Brain එක අපිට අස්සරහාලා ඒ මේව කරන්න බැහැ. ඉතින් chance එක හොඳයි. But when it comes to skin, then we can definitely go for a biopsy and figure out and investigate what exactly is happening. Okay, save Nick. Right. Unhealing situation එක. Right? මම කිව්වේ මොකද කාලයක් දිගට තියෙනවා කියන්නේ. Right? හොඳ වෙන්නේම නැහැ. Right? ඒ කියන්නේ infection එක දිගටම තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේ සිටුේෂන් වලදී සාමාන්‍ය මේ වගේ ඉපදී අර අපි normal දාන අර මිහිත් දෙන්නට ඒක ආස කරන්නේ නැහැ. Right? biopsy වලට ගිහිල්ලා ඊපස්සේ හරියට මේක diagnose කරලා ඊට පස්සේ ඒක කාලයක් තිස්සේ ගන්න බේත් ගන්න ඕනේ අන්න එතකොට තමයි උඩ හොඳ වෙන්නේ. ඉක්මනට වෙන්නේ නැහැ. And when it comes to this sort of a situation, the worst part is it is easily spreading. What could be the reason behind? Once the skin is diseased like this, then it is easy for them to spread because now the skin is becoming weak, right? When the skin is not healthy like this, skin is not healthy, that means the parasitic relationship is in favor of the growth of the parasite. Then skin is weak. Skin is weak. And also since the skin is weak, since the skin cells are not fighting against this properly, the infection is ready. And infection is ready. And when, up to one extent, it is like, the entire body will be infected very soon. At the beginning, we can see the symptoms at one place of the skin, right? කකුල වෙන්න පුළුවන්, අතේ වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? ඊට පස්සේ මුලදී මේක grow වෙලා එහෙම skin එකේ දිගට පැතිරිලා යන rate එක මුලදී අඩුයි. ඊට පස්සේ it is growing very fast. ඇඟ පුරාම පැතිරෙනවා. Right? It is that severe. Right. Okay. They are coming to another one. This is an obligate intracellular parasite. Obligate, we know. Parasite also, we know what is intracellular. Intercellular and intracellular. This is about like totally inside, right? Intracellular, inside the cell, right? Intercellular means like, okay, separate cells. Separate cells. Right? Cell, one cell, another cell, right? But this is not something like that. One thing is obligate, right? And it is intracellular parasite. At the first place, this disease is coming to domestic cats. Domestic cats. That doesn't mean that, okay, we are not getting infected, right? Again, මොන parasite එක attack කරත් mammals වලට එක mammal කෙනෙකුට එක type එක mammal කෙනෙකුට ඒක බලපානවා නම්, right? අනිත් mammals වලට ඒක ඒ විදිහට බලපානවා. Right? Right. මෙතන ගත්තට පස්සේ it is basically coming to domestic cats, right? Apart from cats, that doesn't mean that, okay, the humans are not going to be safe. No, there's nothing like that, right? Humans and other mammals also will be intermediate cost, right? Yeah, it would. Yeah. Right. Speaking of transmission routes. Right. It's about domestic cats now. Right. Consuming undercooked meat for domestic cats. අර අපි සමහරලාට අර කෑම දෙන්නේ මේ හම්බලයි. Right. දැන් අපි meat වර්ග මොන හරි දෙනවා නම් අර හම්බලා. එහෙම දෙන්නේ. උසත් නේද? එහෙම හම්බලා දෙද්දී. Right. Consuming undercooked meat. හරියටම මේ meat වල වැඩේ කෙරලා තිබුණ නැත්නම්. Right? If it is not done like that, right, then the infection can go. Right. Ingestion from cat feeds, and then it's also from the cats that if the cat is already infected, right, with all the external products of the cat, right, to the environment, these parasites are going to be released. Okay, so that is happened. Congenital transmission and organ transplant. Organ transplant is obviously that is highly possible. Why? If the organ which is taken from one cat, one animal, if it is already infected, when it is transplanted to another one, right? Infection can go. That is obvious thing. Have a look at this diagram. This is a cycle. Okay. Then infection continues. Uh, I make a human like mostly cats. Why not humans? Why human also? Because we also mammals, right? Why especially cats? Even we all are mammals like cats, dogs, humans, monkeys, we're all mammals. But the system of metabolism is different from one mammalian family to another mammalian family, right? That depends on their habitats, right? The temperature, depending on external factors like that, hmm, that is going to change. Then, in that case only, we have like humans, like they have less chance of getting infected when compared with cats. Toxoplasmosis is another situation. Normally, this is we can't say, like, if we can see the symptoms, right? That is symptomatic. If we can't see the symptoms, asymptomatic. පේන්නේ අපි මොකක් හරි හිතන්න දැන් මුණ හැදුනා කියලා එහෙනම් දැන් මොකක් හරි ලෙඩක් වුණා කියලා අපි දැන් මොන හරි එළියට පේන්න මුණ නැත්තම් right ඊට පස්සේ ප්‍රෙෂර් මුකුත් වෙනස් වෙලා නැත්තම් sugar your normal reports වලට detect වෙන මුකුත් වෙලා නැත්තම් right අපිට මුකුත් එහෙම symptoms පේන්නේ නැහැ right and so in this case also symptoms cannot be seen. Right. Well, then when do we get to know that some problem is there? If the symptoms are seen. ඒකේ මාර ප්‍රශ්නයක් දැන් ඉන්ෆෙක්ෂන් එකක් වෙලා දිනනවා. මොකුත් රෝග ලක්ෂණ පේන්නේ නැහැ. ඒතර මේක detect කරන stages මොනවාද? Right. Obviously, we won't be able to detect this in the first stage. What is the first stage? The parasite is invading us. Parasite is invading us. Right. That is stage 1. Stage 2. Parasite is growing. Parasite is growing in the human body. Well, still symptoms cannot be seen. After growing, parasite is utilizing the existing metabolism, and it is excreting the unwanted products there into the tissues. Right. In that case, in that stage, we can see the situation. And with observations, the symptoms are coming very late. We will be recognizing that with brain damage,